I want you to imagine that you're running. Your heart is pumping blood to all your body. Legs carrying you farther and farther, arms moving up and down, up and down. You know you have to get away. You know you must run for your life, because if not, you'll die. Now that's how every cliche horror story starts. You have a main character who, in some point in the movie, is running from their life from this unknown danger, whether it's a person, place, or thing. They know they have to stay alive. They know they have to get away, because otherwise, they won't make it. Let's switch gears for a minute. In school, we are taught about slavery. We are taught that in the South is where slavery was prominently made. That's where we had plantations. That's where African Americans were breeded to slave. The South was bad. We were taught the North is where they fled, where they got freedom, where they got everything they needed so that they could live a better life. The South was bad and the North was good. Now, in this other chart that I have, it shows that sundown towns are the more blue towns, and predominantly they are in the North. Notice how in the North, there's a lot of sundown towns, but in the South, there aren't. You may be wondering what a sundown town is. Don't worry about that yet. Just notice how the North is good and the South is bad. Now let's go back to our horror story for a second. Let's imagine you've been running for a while. You came across this town. You're excited because you know a town means safety. It means security. It means that you can get away from this danger. At the beginning of the town, there's a sign, but you don't really focus much on that because you're just trying to get to people that could save you and help you. You see these houses, they look really creepy, but again, you're not focused on that because you need to find safety. That sign you didn't pay attention to, it says whites only after dark. Sundown towns are predominantly white towns that were in the North, and they specifically discriminated against African Americans. How do they discriminate, you may ask? They would lynch, kill, beat, or rape, or anything they could do to keep African Americans out of their towns after dark. African Americans still worked in these towns, and because most of these sundown towns were in the North, they used covert ways so that people wouldn't know that they were specifically discriminated against African Americans. How would they do this? Use bells and chimes to signal to the African Americans working in these towns during the day that it was almost time for night. These towns aren't talked about today. Why is that? Just in 2021, books such as these two were released, signaling that in 1970, over 10,000 sundown towns were found in America. Yet we aren't taught about this. No one knows these numbers until recently. Now I want you to imagine you are an African American in that sundown town. The place that should have been safety for you is now an entirely different kind of danger that you would have not even known about, let alone for these books. Many of these towns go undocumented, even today. So many lives are lost just because we didn't ask enough questions, because we just took what we were taught and we just took it. Now I want you guys in the room to raise your hand if you knew what a sundown town was in depth before I started my TED Talk. Not many. Exactly. Neither did I, honestly. When I was little, I was first taught what a sundown town was. My teacher was reading a book, and I was about in elementary school. She stopped reading, and we were a predominantly black class, and she told us what a sundown town was. She told us that in these towns, we would have been killed. Why is it that history such as this is forgotten and erased and not spoken about until centuries and decades later? And these people are killed all because they didn't have the knowledge to know. Why is it that when we're in our history classes, in our English classes, we just take the history that we're taught and we don't dig deeper? We don't ask more questions to figure out how to keep these mistakes of the past from happening in the future. I challenge you to ask more questions, be more vigilant, because we are the future, and we need to know our erased past so that we can make sure that our future is better. Thank you.